Republican hopefuls for the 2012 presidential race are preparing for tomorrow's debate in New Hampshire. Even as the field of contenders is still taking shape, Mitt Romney is pulling ahead as the frontrunner. Romney tops the latest Real Clear Politics average. The candidates that he's facing tomorrow, highlighted here in yellow. Well, can we expect them to try and unseat Romney, or is this just a race for second? Let's bring in our political panel for you. Former Democratic Congressman Martin Frost and Ron Bonjean, who is a former communications director to Speaker Denny Hastert. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
So, Ron, I'll begin with you. Is this a slam dunk for Romney? He's way ahead in the polls, as we just showed New Hampshire, in his backyard. Or will those two things actually play against him in the debate?
Well, Romney's put a lot of resources into New Hampshire, and it makes a lot of sense after what happened the last run with Iowa. I think that his numbers are still a little bit soft. I mean, we're way out there from people really deciding who they want as their GOP contender against President Obama. And so I would say the strategy is probably going to be for some of these other potential runners to focus on Romney and to attack him on health care, to attack him on the issues, to try to soften him up a bit. But I got to tell you, his numbers are still pretty soft because no one's decided really who they want as a front runner, at this point.
So what do you think, Congressman Frost? Is New Hampshire a double-edged sword for Romney? Does it even really matter?
Well, everybody should understand this is just preseason. This is way, way early, and you don't necessarily have all the candidates there. There may be some other people who are not going to be at that debate tomorrow. The interesting thing will be how Romney defends Romney Care, his health care plan for Massachusetts. I'm sure he'll be asked about that. There are a lot of parallels between that and what the Republicans have criticized as Obama's health care plan. Also, it'll be interesting to see how each one of these, what position they take on Paul Ryan's voucher plan for Medicare. I'm sure they'll all be asked. I assume the moderator will ask. I will tell you what I always did as a Democrat. I loved it when all the Republicans would go make a joint appearance and we'd turn the tape recorder on, the video camera, and we'd just sit and listen because they may say something that can be used against them in the general election.
So I'll stay with you for just a moment. Who do you think stands the most to gain out of this debate? Who stands to lose the most?
Oh, I don't have any idea. I mean, Romney is nominally ahead, but this is way, way early. And we don't know who's going to be in this race. For example, Huntsman is evidently going to be in, but he's not going to be there. Governor Perry from my state might be there at some point. Sarah Palin might be in it. This is just kind of a curiosity for the media and for the people in New Hampshire, but I think it will be widely ignored in the rest of the country.
So, Ron, let's move to someone that we do know is going to be there, Newt Gingrich. He lost his entire senior staff after a disagreement over his chosen campaign strategy, so to speak. How should he address that in the debate, if at all?
Well, I wouldn't address it at all. I would just move forward and run the type of campaign he's saying he's going to want to run, and we'll have to see what that is. And primarily, I would recommend that he focus on, and the rest of the candidates will probably focus on, the economy, because that's President Obama's #1 weakness. I mean, this primary really is, I think, the beginning of a long process towards the end of President Obama's tenure, because the economy is so weak. President Obama has had a shot. Nothing has changed. Things have gotten worse, and these Republican candidates can show what they would do differently to grow the economy, to grow jobs.
I think that people like Michelle Bachmann will not be able to resist the temptation to go after Romney on some of the social issues where he's squishy, and somebody's going to go after him on Romney Care. He's not going to get a free pass on that, so this will be kind of fun to watch.
Squishy, that being an official political term, I'm sure. Congressman Frost, what about Rick Santorum? He formally opened his campaign Monday, but he was pretty much buried by Representative Anthony Weiner's shenanigans. Yeah. How can he use this debate to his advantage? What do you think?
Well, he's a nice fella. I think people in the country don't know much about him. He's going to have a broader forum to make his point. I don't think that anyone will be able to emerge out of this with a great deal of recognition unless Romney were to make a big mistake. That's always possible, but I'd be surprised if he made any big errors. And again, I assume whoever moderates this is going to give Romney the opportunity to talk about health care in Massachusetts and why he was for it in Massachusetts and he's not for it in the country. I just think that's a very interesting subject. It's a neighboring state, and I have a feeling he's going to get to discuss that no matter how much he wants to talk about other things.
Well, I'll tell you what, I know the Democrats want the Republicans to talk about Medicare and talk about health care, but the Republicans will primarily focus on the economy. That's the #1 issue in the country. That's Republican opinion.
Well, we'll see how good the moderator is.
That's what they're going to focus on. I mean, naturally, they may focus on Romney care a little bit, but they're going to really focus on the economy and drive home on jobs, because that's President Obama's #1 weakness.
If this is the beginning
of the end. This is the beginning of the end for President Obama.
Well, also
if these folks want to bring If these folks want to bring Romney down, they're going to have to go after with him. They can't give him a pass on health care in Massachusetts.
We'll see what happens. But also apparently taking some questions from Twitter and Facebook as well. So who knows what the questions could be, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Take care.
Hey, Fox News has a brand new free, and that's the key word, free, iPad app. It's available in Apple's iTunes store. You can customize it any way you want, giving you a great way to keep up with the news from a source you know and trust 24 hours a day. And best of all, as I mentioned, it's totally free. Love that word, free.
It is free.
Head on over to Fox.